Tom lived on River Lane, a quiet street where the days usually began with calm mornings and friendly waves from neighbors. Most people knew him only as the quiet man who worked early hours and kept to himself, but no one knew what he truly did for a living. Tom preferred it that way. He liked peaceful mornings with warm tea and calm air. On this morning, the sun had just risen, and the sky was soft gold. Tom stepped out of his small house with a cup of tea, planning to breathe in the fresh air before heading to work. The street was peaceful. Birds rested on the wires. A few neighbors watered their plants or swept their porches. Everything felt normal. Then a loud siren blasted through the street. It startled everyone. The sound came from a small white truck turning into River Lane. It had flashing blue lights stuck on top in the most careless way, as if someone bought them from a discount shop and glued them on. Tom raised an eyebrow. There were no patrols on this street. River Lane did not even have an HOA. He knew that very well because he read every document when he bought the house years ago. The white truck rolled to a stop near his driveway. 3 men jumped out. They wore matching black shirts with the words HOA Enforcement printed on the front. Their badges were large, shiny, and very clearly plastic. Their belts looked more like Halloween accessories than real equipment. Their boots did not match. The whole group looked uncomfortable in their own uniforms. Tom stayed still, holding his tea. Several neighbors peeked out from doors and windows. A child across the street hid behind her mother. Everyone waited to see what would happen. The leader of the group, a tall man with a thin mustache, walked toward Tom with a stern expression. He held a clipboard in one hand and pointed the other at Tom. "You are in violation of neighborhood rules. You must follow our orders." Tom stared at him calmly. "What rules do not question us?" The leader replied in a loud voice. "Your grass is too tall. Your mailbox is the wrong design. Your house paint does not match the color list. You are breaking many rules." Tom looked at his grass. It was trimmed yesterday. He looked at his house paint. It was the same soft cream color that had been there since the day he moved in. His mailbox was plain silver, just like everyone else's. Nothing the man said made sense. Tom lifted his head. "This neighborhood has no HOA." The leader stepped closer. "We formed one this month. You will follow our authority." Behind him, the other 2 men puffed up their chests and nodded as if trained to act intimidating. Tom could see the nervousness in their eyes. They were trying too hard to look official. "You must come with us," the leader continued. "You are under neighborhood arrest." A few neighbors gasped. Tom heard light whispers from behind fences. Phones appeared in several hands as people began recording. Tom placed his tea on the porch railing and let out a slow breath. His face stayed calm. His posture stayed relaxed. "On what grounds are you arresting me?" Tom asked. "You disrespected our authority." The leader replied, "If you do not walk to our truck right now, we will force you." Tom tilted his head slightly, watching the man's fake badge shine in the sunlight. He could almost see the toy store label on the edge. Tom reached into his jacket. The 3 fake officers took half a step back. One even raised his hands a little, as if afraid Tom might pull out something dangerous. Several neighbors whispered louder. Instead, Tom pulled out a small, well-polished metal badge. It caught the sunlight. It was real. It carried weight, design, and authority that none of the fake badges could ever match. The street went silent. Tom held it up just enough for them to see. "This is a federal badge." The leader blinked. "Federal? What badge is that?" Tom walked forward and stopped only a few steps away. He let the 3 men read the badge clearly. Their expressions changed instantly. One of them swallowed hard. Another looked around as if checking for a place to run. Tom kept his voice steady and calm. "You are pretending to be officers. That is a serious problem." The leader opened his mouth but no words came out. His earlier confidence faded fast. He glanced at the plastic badge on his own chest and then back at Tom's badge, which clearly was not a toy. "We were only doing our job," the leader finally said. "We were asked to watch the area." "By who?" Tom asked. The leader hesitated. "A group we work with." Tom raised an eyebrow. "Which group?" the leader stuttered. "The ER organization, something council." Tom stared at him without blinking. "You cannot even name it." The man looked away. His 2 partners stepped backward, little by little, as if hoping they could disappear. The neighbors now stepped closer, whispering louder. A neighbor on the corner whispered to another, "Tom outranks them. He really does." Another person said, "I knew those badges were fake." The leader finally spoke again. "We will leave now. No trouble. We did not know you were important." Tom shook his head slowly. "This has nothing to do with me being important. You came into this street pretending to be authority. You tried to arrest people who did nothing wrong. You tried to scare everyone." One of the fake officers panicked. "We only wanted to check houses. It was not serious." Tom took 1 step forward. "It is serious now." The leader froze. "We will just leave. Please let us go." Tom lifted his hand. "Stay where you are." The 3 men stopped moving instantly. Their confidence was completely gone. Their hands trembled. Their faces were pale. Tom reached for a small radio clipped under his jacket. It was hidden under the fabric, but he carried it whenever he was home. He pressed the button and spoke clearly. "This is Tom from River Lane. I have 3 impersonators in fake uniforms. I need a team here. The fake officers looked like they wanted to run, but they knew they could not outrun a federal call. The neighbors now stood near their fences, their eyes wide, their phones recording every moment. A faint siren began in the distance. Not the cheap one from the fake truck. This was real, deep, sharp, official. The leader whispered in fear. We picked the wrong street. Tom placed the radio back and stood calmly. Yes, you did. The siren grew louder as a real team approached the street. The fake officers remained frozen in place, knowing they had no way out. Tom stood straight, quiet, and steady. He did not raise his voice. He did not act dramatic. He simply stood as the calm man who had been minding his own business a few minutes ago. But now, the entire street knew the truth. His badge was real, his authority was real, and the fake HOA officers had chosen the worst possible person to challenge. Tom drove toward the nearby town with steady hands on the wheel. The road stretched ahead with soft morning light spreading across the landscape. The peaceful drive gave him time to think about the message he received. More fake HOA officers in nearby towns. A larger plan behind simple uniforms and plastic badges. Someone was organizing these groups and sending them into quiet neighborhoods. Someone bold enough to test how far they could go. Tom reached Oakview Town in about 20 minutes. It was similar to Riverlane.com streets. Small shops, neat houses, and friendly faces. But when he turned onto Pine Street, he saw something that made him tighten his grip on the steering wheel. Another fake HOA truck. It was parked near a small playground. 2 men in black shirts walked from house to house with clipboards. They pointed at windows, fences, and doors, as if they were running an official inspection. A woman who lived on the street stood near her mailbox with her arms folded. She looked confused and worried. Tom parked his car at the corner and stepped out quietly. He observed the men before approaching. Their badges were plastic again. Their clothes did not match. One wore a different type of boots. The siren on the truck looked like a toy. This was almost exactly what happened on River Lane. Tom walked toward the woman first. Is everything all right? She turned to him quickly. Not really. They say I need to remove my garden table before noon. They claim it breaks rules. Tom glanced at her garden. It was small and neat. A simple table stood near the flowers. Nothing looked wrong. Did they tell you what rules you were breaking? Tom asked gently. No, she replied. They only said new rules started today. Tom gave her a calm nod and walked straight toward the fake officers. The 2 men noticed him approaching, and one of them raised a hand. Sir, stay back. We are busy. Tom stopped a few steps away. Busy doing what? Neighborhood inspections, the man replied. You must follow our rules. Tom kept his tone polite. Which rules are those? The man hesitated for a moment and then pointed at the nearest house. That house has curtains in the wrong color. That one has a fence that is too tall. That one has 2 plants instead of 1. Tom understood everything now. These men were not only spreading fear, they were trying to control everything small in each neighborhood. A plan like this needed money, communication, and leadership. It could not be random. Tom reached into his jacket and showed his real badge once again. The men flinched back immediately. Who sent you here? Tom asked firmly. The 2 looked at each other. The younger one spoke softly. A man named Ben. He said people do not question a uniform. He gave us shirts and a list of streets to inspect. Tom nodded slowly. Where is he now? We do not know, the man answered. He told us he would contact us later. Before Tom could respond, his secure phone buzzed with a new message. He stepped back and checked it. Team arriving. Hold position. Tom looked up and saw a dark van turning onto the street. It was Mia's team again. They stepped out quickly and moved toward the scene with clear confidence. Mia walked up to Tom. You were right. This is spreading fast. Tom nodded. These 2 admit someone named Ben hired them. The 2 men in black shirts stood still as Mia approached them. She asked for their names, and they gave them quietly. They answered all questions because they knew resistance would only make things worse. Mia signaled her team to check the truck. One officer opened the back. The sirens grew louder until a dark blue vehicle turned into River Lane. This time, the lights were real, the markings were official, and the presence was strong. The neighbors stepped back a little as the vehicle stopped near Tom's house. 2 officers in proper uniforms stepped out, followed by a tall woman wearing a plain black jacket with a silver badge on the front. Her name was Mia. Mia walked straight toward Tom with a steady stride. She had worked with him many times in the past, though most people on River Lane had no idea Tom even knew people from her department. Morning, Tom, Mia said with a calm smile. I heard you had a situation. Tom nodded. That they came here pretending to be some new neighborhood force. Mia turned her eyes toward the 3 fake officers. They stood in a shaky line beside their truck. Their faces were pale as paper. Their confidence had vanished completely. Behind them, several neighbors whispered to each other. Phones recorded the scene. A few even stepped closer, staying behind the officers in uniform for safety. Mia crossed her arms. Which one of you wants to explain what you are doing here? The leader opened his mouth but could not speak. His voice broke the moment he tried. One of the other 2 men lifted his hand slightly. We were only checking the area. Someone told us to do it, the man said. Who told you to act like officers? Mia asked. The man hesitated. A man named Ben. He said people respect uniforms. He said we should make people follow rules. Mia raised her eyebrow. And what rules are those? The man looked down. We made them up. Tom watched quietly. He kept his hands behind his back, standing relaxed but alert. He never liked seeing people pretend to be authority. It created fear and confusion. Most people did not know how to tell the difference between real officers and fake ones. That was why Tom made the call as soon as he saw the fake badges. Mia stepped closer to the leader. Do you understand how serious this is? The leader slowly nodded. We thought it would be easy. We did not think someone important lived here. Mia looked around at the neighbors. You did not think at all. You created panic on a peaceful street. One of the real officers stepped forward. He collected the plastic badges from the fake officers. Another officer checked the truck and shook his head. These lights are glued on. The siren is a speaker with a phone plugged in. Mia sighed. Tom, thank you for calling us before these men caused a bigger problem. Tom gave a small nod. They were pushing people. They almost tried to arrest me. One neighbor across the street spoke up. They came to my house first. They told me to repaint my door. Another neighbor added. They threatened to fine me for the plants on my porch. A third said. They claimed they could take belongings if we did not follow rules. Mia listened and shook her head. That confirms everything. You three were creating fear on the street. She signaled to the officers behind her. Take them in for questioning. The three fake officers did not resist. They walked quietly toward the official vehicle. One of them looked at Tom with wide eyes, as if still confused by how quickly things had changed. As the real officers loaded the fake ones into the vehicle, Tom walked toward Mia. Did you find anything about the person who hired them? Tom asked. Not yet, Mia replied. But we will. People like this usually do not act alone. Neighbors began to gather nearer. Many wanted to thank Tom. A few wanted to understand what was happening. Tom kept his answers simple. One neighbor said, Tom, we had no idea you were so important. Tom smiled gently. I am just someone who tries to keep things peaceful. A young man from 2 houses down said, you stayed so calm. They were shouting, but you did not even raise your voice. Tom shrugged lightly. There is no reason to shout when the truth is clear. Mia stepped closer to the group. Everyone, these men were pretending to be authority. They had no right to tell you anything. If anyone else comes with fake uniforms or badges, call us right away. The neighbors nodded. Some looked embarrassed for believing the fake officers earlier, but Tom spoke kindly. It is not your fault. They tried to look official. Anyone could have been fooled. His calm voice eased the tension on the street. People smiled again. The morning air began to feel peaceful once more. As the official team prepared to leave, Mia turned to Tom again. You did well today. What will you do now? Finish my tea, Tom said with a small smile. Mia gave a short laugh. You never change. The vehicles pulled away slowly. The sound of real sirens faded in the distance. River Lane returned to its normal quiet state. Don picked up his tea from the porch railing. It was still warm enough to drink. He took a sip and tried to continue his morning, hoping the rest of the day would stay peaceful. But just as he lifted the cup again, his phone buzzed. He checked the screen. It was a secure message from his department. Message received. Several groups reported similar fake HOA units in nearby towns. This might be a larger plan. Tom placed the tea down again and read the message twice. He looked toward the end of the street where the fake truck had parked earlier. His mind shifted from calm morning mode to work mode. The message continued. Be ready. You may be needed again today. Don exhaled slowly. Peace never lasted long for someone in his line of work. He locked his house and walked inside. He changed out of his casual clothes and put on a simple dark jacket he always used for fieldwork. Then he paused in front of the mirror. He looked like any normal man. Quiet face, calm eyes, a steady posture. People on River Lane saw a peaceful neighbor. But that was only one part of who he was. His work dealt with people who pretended to be authority, groups that created panic, operations that threatened to fool entire communities. Tom had seen many strange schemes before, but fake HOA officers across towns felt different. It felt planned. He walked back outside and scanned the street. Nothing looked wrong now. Children played on a sidewalk. A neighbor watered her garden. A dog barked in the distance. Peaceful sights everywhere. Tom knew it would not last. He pulled out his secure phone and sent a short message. I am ready. He stepped off his porch, walked to his small car, and started the engine. The day had just begun, and he already had a new mission waiting. He glanced once more at River Lane. He wanted everyone there to stay safe. He had lived on this street for years and liked the simple life it offered. That was why he took his work so seriously. Peaceful places deserved protection. Tom drove away from the neighborhood, heading toward the nearby town mentioned in the report. As he left, he wondered how many fake officers were out there and who had sent them. Whatever the plan was, he was determined to uncover it. The calm man with the quiet morning was now the man on a mission, and the story of the fake HOA officers was only the beginning. Tom stood beside Mia as her team inspected the fake HOA truck. The two men who ran the operation in Oakview Town waited quietly near the sidewalk. They looked nervous but not aggressive. Most people who pretended to hold power collapsed the moment real authority stood in front of them. These two were no different. One of Mia's officers opened the back of the truck. Inside were piles of black shirts, more plastic badges, and a small box of fake rulebooks. Everything was cheap and quickly made. Nothing official, nothing that could stand real inspection. Mia shook her head. Someone is trying to build their own small force. Whoever Ben is, he has a clear plan. Tom nodded, and he is testing how far he can go before someone stops him. More neighbors began to gather. They kept a safe distance but watched with great curiosity. A few people whispered questions to Tom, asking if everything was safe now. Tom kept his voice steady and calm. Yes, you do not need to worry. These men will not bother anyone again. His tone helped. People relaxed, though they still looked uneasy. Nobody liked being fooled by fake authority. It shook trust in peaceful towns like this. Mia finished giving instructions to her officers, then turned to Tom. We found a list in their truck. It has street names from multiple towns. 8 more places. Tom raised an eyebrow. 8 more, yes, Mia replied. This is what makes it dangerous. Someone is planning something bigger, and they are not afraid to use people who do not understand the risk. Tom folded his arms, thinking about the pattern. These groups always follow some leader who promises power, someone who likes control, someone who wants to spread influence without using force. Mia nodded. We will take these two in for questioning. You should come with us to the office. I think the director wants your input. Tom thought for a moment. I will follow you, but I will bring my car. We may need it later. Mia agreed. The officers escorted the 2 fake HOA men into the van. The neighbors watched as the van slowly pulled away. With the truck removed and the men gone, Pine Street began to feel normal again. Children returned to the playground. A woman watered her plants again. A man walked his dog across the road. Tom looked around one last time before walking to his car. He felt a pull inside, a familiar feeling he always had when something bigger was at play. This was not just about fake uniforms. This was about someone trying to create small pockets of control across peaceful towns. He drove to the central office, following Mia's van through quiet streets and long roads. After 20 minutes, they reached a tall building with simple design and strong security. Tom parked in the visitor section and walked inside. When he entered the main room, the director was already waiting. His name was Ray. He was an older man with sharp eyes and a calm face. Ray greeted Tom with a nod. Good to see you, Tom. Thank you for responding so quickly. Tom returned the nod. It looked serious. Ray guided him into the meeting room. A large screen showed a map displaying all the places where fake HOA groups were spotted. Oakview Town, River Lane, and 8 more marked in yellow. Ray pointed to the map. This started only a few days ago. All the groups are connected through one name. Ben, do we know who he is? Tom asked. Ray took a deep breath. We have a photo. He placed a picture on the table. The man looked ordinary. Short hair, simple shirt, calm face. Someone who could blend into any crowd. Tom studied the photo. Why is he doing this? Ray replied. We believe he wants to create a private control network, something he can use for influence later. Fake rules, fake inspections, slowly building fear. If people start believing these groups, they will follow them. Tom ran his hand across the table in thought. He is testing trust, testing how people react to small demands. Ray pointed to the map again. Today, Oakview Town. Yesterday, River Lane. Tomorrow, who knows? He may send more groups out. Tom looked at Ray. Do we know where he is now? Ray sat down. We found activity in Pinecrest Village this morning. More reports of fake uniforms. Tom recognized the name. Pinecrest Village was only 15 minutes from the office. Ray leaned forward. He might be there. Tom stood up. Then we must go now. Mia entered the room just in time. Our team is ready. Vehicles are fueled. We can leave immediately. Ray nodded. Go. Bring him in safely. And Tom, be careful. We do not know how many people are with him. Tom gave a small nod, then followed Mia and the team out of the office. They walked to the parking area where several official vehicles waited. Mia handed Tom a radio. Stay on channel 3. Tom checked the radio and clipped it to his jacket. The team moved quickly but calmly. This was not a rushed chase. It was a planned operation. They drove together toward Pinecrest Village. Tom drove behind Mia's car, staying close enough to react fast. The sky had grown brighter. Shops were opening. People walked on sidewalks. The world seemed normal on the surface, but Tom knew there were people trying to change that normal. 20 minutes later, they entered Pinecrest Village. The town center looked peaceful, but when they turned onto Maple Road, they saw trouble. A group of 4 men stood near a row of houses. They wore the same black shirts as the others, same plastic badges, same clipboards. One man held a megaphone and spoke loudly to the residents. This area is under inspection. Follow our rules. Stay inside unless instructed. People looked out from windows. Some looked scared, others confused. A few stood outside but stepped away when the fake officers approached them. Tom parked his car near the corner. Mia's team did the same. They stepped out of the vehicles, moving quietly. Tom observed the group. These four looked more organized. Their posture was stronger. Their uniforms matched better. They seemed more trained. One of the men pointed at Tom the moment he approached. "You cannot be here. We are enforcing new regulations." Tom looked at him calmly. "Show me the regulations." The man paused. "You do not need to see them." Tom raised his badge. The man's eyes widened slightly, but unlike the others, he did not step back. He looked at the other three as if waiting for a signal. Tom realized something important. These four were not simple volunteers. They were part of the core group, more loyal, more prepared. Mia stepped beside Tom and held up her badge as well. "This operation ends now. Put down your clipboards and step aside." The leader of the fake group spoke loudly. "We follow Ben, not you." Tom felt the tension rise. People watched from a distance. The air grew heavier. Mia signaled her team with a small hand gesture. They spread out, forming a safe circle around the fake group. Tom kept his voice calm and steady. "Where is he?" The leader met his eyes. Something cold and certain shined there. "He is close." Tom understood the message. Ben was near, maybe even watching. Mia whispered to Tom, "We need to move fast." Tom nodded slowly. The operation was no longer about fake officers. It was about finding the man behind them. Somewhere in Pinecrest Village, Ben was waiting, and he was ready. Morning arrived quietly in the neighborhood. Soft golden light touched the houses, the trees, and the clean streets. Birds moved from branch to branch and everything looked peaceful again. But inside Ethan's mind something felt unfinished. He knew the fake HOA group would not return and the community was safe now. Still, he felt that something more needed to be done. He wanted everyone here to feel strong and confident. He wanted people to understand their own rights so no criminal group could fool them again. He stepped outside with a cup of tea in his hand. The fresh morning air helped him think clearly. The events of the last few days replayed in his mind. The fake officers, the look of fear on the faces of the neighbors, Maya's brave steps, Mr. Jacobs shouting for help, the chase, the arrest, the final piece. Ethan stood on the sidewalk and watched families walking out of their homes. Children rode their bicycles, dogs barked softly. Life had returned to normal. Still, he understood that peace stays only when people are ready to protect it. Maya walked toward him with her notepad in her hand. She looked more confident now. Her steps were steady and her eyes bright. "Good morning, Ethan," she said with a smile. "Good morning." He smiled back. "You seem busy already." She nodded. "I was thinking, now that everything is over, maybe we can do something for the community. Something long-lasting." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Oh, what do you have in mind?" She looked around at the houses. "These people trusted me when those fake officers came, but their trust came from fear. I want them to trust with knowledge instead of fear. I want them to know what real officers look like, how real departments work, and what real rights they have." Ethan felt impressed. "That is a strong idea, Maya." She took a deep breath. "I want to create a neighborhood safety group, a real one this time. Not like the fake HOA, a group that works with the real police. A group that teaches people how to respond in situations like this." Ethan took a moment to think, then nodded slowly. "I will support you in any way I can. This neighborhood needs something like that." Maya smiled softly. "Thank you, Ethan. I cannot do this alone." They walked together toward the main park. The morning breeze rustled the leaves above them. A few more neighbors joined them after seeing them outside. Mr. Jacobs waved from across the street. Ethan smiled. "Good morning, Mr. Jacobs." Mr. Jacobs approached with energy in his steps. "So what are you two planning this?" Early Maya shared her idea about the new safety group. Mr. Jacobs listened carefully. Then he let out a thoughtful breath. "It sounds good," he said, "but I think we should go even further. We should ask the real police department to send one of their officers here for a short training session. Something simple to start with." Ethan gave him a proud nod. "Great idea, Mr. Jacobs. That would help everyone feel more secure and it will show that we stand together," Maya added. Soon more neighbors gathered around them. People listened. People nodded. People shared small suggestions. Some wanted to learn about harmful scams. Some wanted advice about strangers knocking on doors. Some wanted simple communication systems like group messages. Ethan noted everything down. One neighbor named Tara stepped forward shyly. "I want to volunteer," she said. "I work from home, so I can help with organizing meetings." Another neighbor, an older woman named Mrs. Carter, lifted her hand as well. "I can help talk to families on my street. Many of them are new here. They might feel more comfortable if someone explains things to them gently." I looked around at all the helping hands. A warm feeling filled his chest. This is what he always believed in. People strong together. People helping each other. People choosing courage over fear. By late morning, the group had agreed to meet that evening in the community hall. Maya and Ethan walked there to prepare things. The hall was simple but clean, with rows of chairs and a small stage at the front. Sunlight came through the big windows and made the room bright. Maya set a few papers on the table. Ethan helped arrange the chairs. Everything looked ready. "Do you think many will come?" Maya asked. "I think more than you expect," Ethan said. "People want to feel safe, and you are giving them that chance." The hours passed. Evening came. The lights inside the hall turned on. One by one neighbors began to enter. First, a small group, then a larger one. Soon the hall was nearly full. Maya took a deep breath as she stood on the stage. Ethan stood beside her for support. She looked at the crowd. She saw familiar faces and new faces. She saw people who had lived here for years and people who had moved in just weeks ago, all sitting together because they wanted a safer future. She began speaking in a calm, clear voice. "Thank you for coming today. We all had a difficult experience recently. Those fake officers tried to harm our peace. But we stood together. And today we begin a new step." People listened closely. No one whispered. No one looked away. "We want to build a community where everyone feels safe," she continued. "A community where each person understands their rights and feels confident to ask questions." Acton stepped forward and spoke. "We will work with the real police department. We will invite them to teach us. And we will share information with each other. We will stop any group that tries to scare us." There was a moment of silence. Then people clapped softly but warmly. After the meeting, many neighbors stayed to talk and share ideas. Some asked Ethan how real officers identify themselves. Some asked Maya how to contact her if something strange happened. Some asked about simple safety tips. Maya answered everything with care. Ethan added helpful points when needed. Finally, when the hall became quiet again, Ethan and Maya stepped outside into the cool night. "You did well today," Ethan said gently. Maya smiled, but her eyes became soft. "I did all this because you gave me courage that day. When I thought I could not stand up to them, you showed me how to be strong." Ethan shook his head lightly. "No, Maya, you found that strength yourself. I only helped you see it." She looked at him for a moment, then looked at the sky. Stars dotted the dark blue sky and the streetlights glowed below. Everything felt peaceful again. "I think this community is going to change," she said. "It will become better now." Ethan agreed. "Yes, because good people stood together." They walked side by side toward their homes. The night felt calm. The houses felt warm. And for the first time in many days, Ethan felt that the neighborhood was truly safe. Not because he lived here, but because everyone here now understood their own strength, and no fake officer would ever dare walk into this street again.